Hopefully you're all doing pretty well today. Today, what we're going to be going through is essentially our all social media for realtors class that we do at Technology for Real Estate. And this basically is like a crash course kind of catch all for social media topics. So, we're going to talk about some various rules and regulations regarding advertising. I'll give you a couple various tips and tricks regarding tools and stuff to use to improve your social media, and we'll just blaze through a whole bunch of stuff. The idea is like if everything keeps on track, we should be able to get through this and be wrapped up around 150 to 155. Of course, at any point, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, snide remarks, rude accusations, anything like that, feel free to drop them in the chat or unmute yourself and say something. I'm definitely happy to help. And Leslie, to answer your question, do I do websites? Like, do I do a class on websites, or do I build websites for people? While she is answering that, I'll go on ahead and introduce myself. So, my name is Jake Youngs. I'm one of the fabulous instructors over at Technology for Real Estate. And just like I assume the rest of you, I am also a real estate professional. And in fact, actually, today, I believe is 4 years in the real estate industry. So, woohoo, good times. Absolutely love doing everything that I do. And yeah, it's a super awesome industry to be a part of. When I'm not working with technology in the real estate industry, I do a lot of stuff in the live production world and primarily with lighting and visuals. That's my type of jam. But when I'm not working with that kind of technology, I do a lot of stuff with aviation photography, lots of fun stuff to be had in that specific world. I've been using technology since I was about 3 years old. For those of you who remember the days of Windows XP and VHS tapes, those were some pretty darn good days. So, without further ado, we will go on ahead and jump into this and have some fun. Now we're going to get through some of the nitty gritty stuff right up front and just plow through this stuff so that way you guys have a good baseline to work off of, at least with rules and regulations. And of course, anytime we're talking about marketing or advertising, one of the first places that we've got to go within the state of Arizona, at least, is Arizona Administrative Code R428502. So, Arizona Administrative Code R428502 is specifically about advertising and how we carry our marketing in the real estate industry. The Arizona Administrative Code has the force and effect of law on those of us who are licensees or have some type of government granted license or something like being a hairstylist or a police officer, something to that effect. However, it does not have actual effect of law on people that don't have that specific type of license. So, kicking this off, Section A and B of R428502. Section A states that a salesperson or broker acting as an agent shall not advertise property in a manner that implies that no salesperson or broker is taking part in the offer for sale, lease, or exchange. And I always highlight this, especially when I'm teaching my class on Instagram Reels, primarily for the purpose of property tours. All too often, can we scroll through videos of real estate agents walking through properties across Phoenix or realistically anywhere in the United States or even outside of the United States where we're not disclosing who the listing brokerage is or even making it look like there is a listing broker involved in the transaction. Granted, I totally understand that from a public perspective and the way that the general public has an understanding of real estate professionals, it can probably most likely be assumed that if a real estate professional is walking through a listing, that is going to be listed by another brokerage. Totally understand that. However, we still need to disclose who that listing broker is. And in the case of doing video tours, reels, and things like that, there's two easy ways. Well, I mean, technically three, but the third one's a hybrid that I've come to find of disclosing who the listing brokerage is when I'm doing a property tour. And of course, if you're doing a property tour of your own listing, that's one thing. You say something slightly different for that. But if I'm walking through somebody else's listing, I'll intro the video by saying, "Hey, everybody, this is Jake Youngs with ABC Realty, and today I am touring this amazing house at 123 Main Street, listed by ABC Realty or whoever the listing brokerage is. Realty One Group, KW, EXP, Remax, you all get the general idea. Just say whoever the listing brokerage is right up front. The other thing that you can do that works just as well is say you grab that exact same listing brokerage and you go to the description of your media when you're creating a post for Instagram or Facebook or whatever the case may be. What you're going to say is this listing is courtesy of whoever the listing brokerage is. So just like you see with all the IDX websites and all the other platforms that host multiple listings, just like the MLS, it's the exact same concept with that. Now, Section B of R428-502 states that any salesperson or broker advertising the salesperson's or broker's own property for sale, lease, or exchange shall disclose the salesperson's or broker's status as a salesperson or broker and as a property owner by placing the words owner/agent in the advertisement. Or you could also say owner and agent, whatever the case may be. If you feel like being a little bit more fancy, if you will. So what we're looking at here is basically number one, putting stuff on your signs, but also putting it in your social media and in the MLS. Social media is easy enough to do. You can overlay text on your images and videos, depending on what you're using to capture your videos and your images. Or you can also utilize descriptions for your social media posts. Those work just as well. Continuing on with that, Section C states that a salesperson or broker shall ensure that all advertising contains accurate claims and representations and fully states factual material relating to the information advertised. A salesperson or broker shall not misrepresent the facts or create misleading impressions. And we take listings, for example. It's very easy for us to go and grab pictures of a house to post on social media or even realistically to post them on the MLS. And we somehow manage to perfectly Photoshop out the power lines in the backyard or the fact that the neighbor has a very unsightly dead tree in the backyard. Now, Photoshop does exist, and there are pieces of software that exist that allow you to remove stuff from videos to the exact same level that you can from pictures. I'm sure many of you will remember several years ago, there was a whole thing about a developer coming in and building a Disneyland style amusement park in the Casa Grande area. Dreamport Villages is what it was supposed to be called. And there's an article that came out from ABC 15 back in February of 2019 titled Dreamport Villages, Massive Amusement Park Slated for Casa Grande Finalizing Any Day Now. Well, as we all know and have seen since then, that theme park hasn't really gone anywhere, hasn't really gotten built or seen any major developments over the last couple of years. So I'm not saying that this article is fake, using it as an example, but being that it came out in February of 2019 and there's still no major improvements, could we potentially say that it's an inaccurate article? Potentially so. All that to say that we as real estate professionals need to be very careful with our marketing and making sure that it's accurate. Raquel, to answer your question, the only thing that you have to include in your marketing is who the listing brokerage is. So, say for example, with Realty One Group, I'll walk into a property and say, "Hey, everybody, my name is Jake Youngs, and I am touring 123 Main Street, this Realty One Group listing." The brokerage is the only thing that matters, not the agent, because the agent is an agent for the broker. So the broker is the one that actually has the listing. The sales agent is just the one that brought it in. I know it sounds extremely complicated, but that gets into our agency law. All right, so let's get into a little bit more fun. So take a look at this. I love statistics for me personally. I use them all the time. They're an absolutely awesome thing to have backing you up in pretty much every circumstance. So, first statistic up, about 4.48 billion people currently use social media platforms worldwide, which is more than double from 2015 at 2.07 billion. The crazy thing that blows my mind is that the average person that has social media accounts interacts with and engages with 6.6 various social media platforms on a daily basis. So that is, I mean, you think about it, that's a lot of social media platforms, especially when we're pretty much using all of them to keep track of the exact same stuff and the exact same people. We know some of our friends have a lot of the same platforms we have, and some of them have none of the same platforms that we have. It just depends on what their personal preference is. In social media, the rate of growth is kind of slowing down as far as new users joining social media platforms. And my theory behind that is that the vast majority of people that were going to be getting a social media account have kind of slowed down a little bit. So, I mean, you see 2015, there was an average of 12.5% year over year growth on social media platforms. However, 2019 to 2020, and I'm not sure how the data has changed since then, there was only about a 9.2% growth rate. So you think about it, you've got all these people interacting with 6.6 different social media platforms on a daily basis, at least on average. You've got so many different options out there, and people have had so much time to sign up for them. I think we're just getting to the point where we're running out of people to sign up for social media accounts, aside from children finally coming to an age where their parents are letting them get social media accounts and things like that. So, anyways, with that being said, more statistics, right? There's 8.1 billion people on Earth. And just looking for some feedback from everybody in the class, which platform do you think has 1.9 billion users on a daily basis? You got X, you got YouTube. YouTube isn't necessarily incorrect.
Is it X?
It is not X. Got Instagram, I got Facebook. I just got done teaching YouTube this morning, actually. I think YouTube has,
TikTok.
if I remember correctly, YouTube's
Uh,
got 119 million users on a daily basis. So we got TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, LinkedIn. Raquel, were you saying something?
I was agreeing. Maybe TikTok. I forgot about that one's a major.
Trisha thinks LinkedIn, maybe Twitter. Well, the correct answer in this case is Facebook. So, for those of you that guessed Facebook, good job on your guess. That would be the correct answer. And actually, more specifically, as of December 2023, Facebook has a total of 3.03 billion active accounts on a monthly basis, with 1.96 billion users active on a daily basis. I'm not entirely sure how to put that into perspective other than saying that that is a boatload of people. How do you keep track of all that stuff? Now, granted, I do understand that a lot of those accounts are probably bots and not every single one of them is an individual person, and there's various business accounts on there, but still, that is a lot of people to keep track of on a consistent basis. And continuing on with that whole meta trend, Facebook Messenger in and of itself has 931 million active users as it currently stands. So these are all people with a Facebook account that are using the messaging system built within Facebook. And actually, Facebook and Instagram now both share the exact same messaging platform. So if you were to download the Messenger app on your phone, you can message people on Facebook and Instagram from the Messenger app. So both of them function the exact same way now, which is actually pretty cool if you ask me. Continuing on with that meta trend even further, Instagram, not very far behind. Right now, kind of tied in third place for the most popular social media platform with 2 billion active users. Third, well, technically third or fourth largest social media platform globally. And this is the platform that my generation really grew up with. So Instagram got super popular probably back when I was about 12 or 13. And I know many of you are probably saying this guy looks like he's still 12, but bear with me. This thing really got popular when I was a kid. In fact, I remember back when I was in probably about fifth grade, walking out onto the playground, and my best friend at the time asked me if I had seen his post that he put up on Instagram the day before. And I was like, dude, what in the world are you talking about? What in the world is Instagram? You know, that kind of response. So at that point, that's when I figured out what it was. And Instagram's been around since 2010 and got swallowed up by Facebook in 2012 for right around, I think it was about $1 billion in cash and stock. So I don't know about you, but if I could make $1 billion in cash after about 2 years of work, sign me up all day long. That'd be pretty fun and pretty easy. Also, right around the same position as to what Instagram is in is WhatsApp. So looking at WhatsApp, they're following pretty closely behind with 2.26 billion active users, or I guess not closely behind, but right around the same area, which is mostly used for overseas communication, especially in the real estate industry, right? This is primarily going to be used if we have clients that are um, in another country, maybe Mexico or Canada, and they don't have some type of international data plan, or we don't have some type of international data plan. So you utilize WhatsApp to be able to communicate with people. And realistically, any social media platform works for keeping track of people at the end of the day. But WhatsApp is the primary app that you would use for that type of communication. Continuing on from there, looking at stats surrounding Meta specifically. So Meta originally started out as Facebook, but Mark Zuckerberg kind of rebranded the company back in 2021 as Meta. So Meta is the company that owns Facebook, Instagram, and about 91 other companies as of December of last year. So about 77% of all internet users, roughly 3.59 billion people, are active on at least one of the Meta platforms. So Instagram, Facebook, or one of the other platforms that they have available. And as of December of last year, they had a market cap of about $840.72 billion, which is quite a good chunk of change. So you're probably wondering right about now, when you're working with Facebook and Instagram, do you need a personal page or do you need a business page? And for me personally, the answer is both. Absolutely both. Now, personal pages, yes, because that's where you're going to keep track of your friends. That's where people will actually friend you up at, and you can create like all your personal posts and things like that. But you do need a business page for your business. Here's the logic behind that. Business pages really give you a lot more functionality for your business on Facebook. They allow you to run advertising and stay in compliance with ADRE rules and regulations, which is the biggest problem that you could run into with your social media, is falling out of compliance with that. Now, the big problem with business pages, both on Facebook and on Instagram, is that the algorithm that is employed on both of those platforms does not like small businesses. It does not like small pages. It wants a lot of pages with a lot of followers that are constantly pushing out content. So it can be kind of hard for us to grow our Facebook pages as well as our Instagram pages. Instagram, I've come to find it's a little bit easier to build a business page on, but you generally speaking would tie both Instagram and Facebook together so they're both working as one platform. The hack that I have come to find to get more exposure for your business page on Instagram or on Facebook, rather, is to take all of your content from your business page and reshare that onto your personal page. Because chances are, what's going to happen is that reshared post is going to get a lot more traction than if you were to just leave it on your business page, being that the algorithm typically tends to like to hide a lot of content from the smaller business pages or even the smaller pages in general, unfortunately. So that's my quick rundown on the ideals behind a personal or business page. That's what I would suggest going after. So continuing on with the social media platform trend, just covering the entire list. So can't share too much business in a personal page. So here's here's my thoughts and opinions on that. You can absolutely share all of your business page content onto your personal page. Absolutely. And in fact, for that matter, you should also be utilizing your business page more so on Instagram than Facebook to share personal content on top of your business content. Right now, the ratio that's been thrown to me based off of everybody that I have had a conversation with, that's a social media guru, is that you want an 80-20 ratio with your social media content on your business page. About 80% of the content that goes up on a business page should be personal content, and 20% of that needs to be business related content. So the vast majority of this stuff is going to be personal stuff. We say that because the more personal stuff that you put up on your page, the easier it is for somebody to build a relationship with you. Whereas if you're posting nothing but business stuff, yes, you will keep business stuff in front of people, but you're not going to be building a relationship with people. They're not going to be learning about your interests. They're not going to be learning about your personality or anything like that. This is also part of the reason why videos come into play so much right now. It's because with social media, you have an opportunity to build a virtual relationship with somebody that you otherwise wouldn't have the ability to build a relationship with. So, kind of unique in that sense, but I digress on that point. Anyways, continuing on with social media platforms and some of the more popular ones, I did pull a list of all of the most popular social media platforms as of 2023 when we got to the end of the year. So, right now, for real estate professionals, YouTube is actually coming up very, very quickly as one of the most popular social media platforms for lead generation as well as content in general. It's becoming a lot easier to create content for YouTube, and it's really becoming a lot more accessible for everybody in general to be able to create content on, which is super, super cool. There's a lot of really cool tips and tricks and techniques out there that you can get access to play with. And frankly, the algorithm on YouTube is a lot easier to work with than the algorithm is on Facebook and Instagram. However, the thing you have to be aware of with your YouTube content is your YouTube content has to be very specific. Yes, you can leave it broad on some stuff, but it's got to be targeted towards specific people. Like, let's say, for example, you are somebody who moved to Phoenix from San Diego. Okay. So perhaps the type of people that you're targeting that you want to work with in Phoenix are people who have also moved to Phoenix from San Diego, which is actually a pretty good demographic. So you get all these people that come from San Diego and they want to know, well, what was the transition like to move from Phoenix to San Diego, or from San Diego to Phoenix, rather? Or what are the top five main differences? What are the top five likes or dislikes about Phoenix compared to San Diego? You've got to be super, super specific with your content, which really isn't a bad thing by any means. So right behind that, you have WhatsApp and Instagram. Like I say, tied for third place technically. However, they are pretty much right at the exact same point. WeChat, whatever that is, TikTok, absolutely awesome. If you want to build a long term pipeline, I say long term pipeline because the majority of people utilizing TikTok are between like 13 and 18 years old. So you might still be about 10 to 20 years out from being able to sell somebody on their house. However, don't discount it completely and totally. As I have known so far one agent, maybe two agents that have sold houses on TikTok. But the one example that I can think of off the top of my head has sold a property on TikTok because this random kid watched his video tour of a house, went and showed the video tour to his dad, and his dad went and bought the property. So it's not impossible to sell a property on TikTok, nor is it impossible to sell your business on there. But keep in mind, it's probably going to be more of a long term thing. Now, I know I've said all that and kind of contradicting what I've just said. Ironically, right now, the biggest increasing demographic on TikTok is 40 to 50-year-olds. That's the biggest increase on TikTok at the moment. So we're seeing the older generation starting to jump on there, probably because a lot of them are starting to see the trend with the short form videos and they're kind of getting interested in that, just kind of seeing what's going on. So I don't know where that's going to go, but we will find out. So Facebook Messenger, you've got Telegram, which is kind of similar to more messaging apps like Messenger, kind of like Snapchat in a sense, but not really. It's meant to be like a broadcast type thing where you can send out messages to a whole bunch of people. You get the idea. Snapchat and Douyin probably not going to be doing a lot of marketing or advertising on either of those platforms, but it's still a good way of communicating with people. And then right behind those, some additional platforms like Pinterest, for one. Not many real estate professionals are utilizing Pinterest for their business in this day and age. Pinterest is primarily beneficial if you're doing a lot of crafty stuff like before and after renovations on a home, or if you have interest in working with a lot of parents, or more specifically, a lot of moms, because that is the vast majority of the demographic on Pinterest. So, Pinterest is probably going to be a better social media platform for you if you're creating a lot of blog content for your personal business website. So if you have a website that you're creating blogs for, you're putting posts up on there, take those blogs, like link them to your website and reshare them on Pinterest. That will help you to drive more traffic to your website. Now, just like any of these social media platforms, you're going to get out of them what you put into them. So if you're putting up a lot of content on Pinterest or any of these other platforms, then you're going to get a lot of stuff in return for that. So we've also seen LinkedIn, the business networking website. Essentially, you have X or Twitter, got Snapchat, which we touched on previously. Reddit, that's a very niche market of advertising that you could get into, but that's more so like communication with other people. Nextdoor, or as I absolutely love to call it, the Nosy Neighbor app, which is pretty much exactly what that is. So if you want to communicate with a lot of people in your community, that's really more so beneficial if you're advertising to people that live in your neighborhood. Like if you farm your own neighborhood that you live in, that's where that's going to come into play. And lastly is Clubhouse. So essentially, what I'm trying to say is there's absolutely no shortage of platforms in which you can utilize to reach out to people. But also, all that to say, people will absolutely work with you if they know you, if they like you, and if they trust you. People are not going to work with you if they don't know you, like you, or trust you. So, if there's no relationship there, if you haven't really built much of a relationship over social media, or even built up a relationship in person, chances of them coming down to work with you in the future probably going to be slim to none. This is also why I say with all of your video content, you should be a lot more animated instead of just standing there pulling a stiffy robotic pose or whatever the case may be. Be you and be yourself. Don't be that person that's going to create content just to try and win over more transactions, because you really need to be genuine on social media, especially these days. So, talking about going live on social media, not only Facebook, but going live on Instagram, going live on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, any other platform that supports you going live. This is primarily beneficial because this gets you in front of people in a totally different way. I'm sure you've probably noticed, for those of you that have an Instagram account, whenever somebody that you follow goes live on Instagram, you get a notification letting you know that they just went live. Not once, but twice, you're going to get a notification about that. That's why it's beneficial for you, not necessarily because you're going to get a million people watching your live stream, but you've now got this notification with your name on it, or at least your username on it, that has landed in front of all these people that are following you. And of course, Instagram and Facebook and all these other platforms will eat up live content all day long because it's fresh content being created in the moment. And I always say this: when you go to an open house and you're preparing to open up the open house, one of the first things that you should do is do a quick live video at the open house. Not necessarily because people are going to jump in and watch it right then and there, but you do get a recorded video out of it, so long as it's at least 1 minute long. That's the big catch right there, is it's got to be at least a minute long, as I found out the hard way. Um, People will see that video and they'll see that you're busy doing something that's real estate related. Once again, keeping that top of mind thing. That's the big idea behind going live and creating content, especially with open houses. So, massively beneficial for you to go live on your social media platforms. Or at the very least, when you get to an open house, create some sort of reel or a short video, something to the likes of that. That's going to draw more people in. Continuing on with this, you're probably wondering right about now, what exactly should you be posting? And I've got this broken down into a couple of different segments, so bear with me. But some suggestions I love to throw out there is listing content. Listing content's kind of a gimme, but there's so many different options that you can do with just listings. So you can do new listings. Whenever you get a brand new listing, you can do a brand new picture post or a video post saying that the house is new to the market. You can do something when it's coming soon, when it goes active, when it goes under contract, when it gets sold. You can do reviews with your clients after the listings get sold. I mean, literally, there's so many different types of posts that you can create just off of your listings that it's literally limitless as to what you can do with it. Just depends on how much content you feel like creating out of your listings. Continuing on with that, videos. We'll touch base on videos a little bit more because there's so many options worth of videos that you can do. Local organizations. Couple of ideas that I always pitch all the time. The first one is one that I do pretty frequently myself, or at least used to do pretty frequently. Partnering up with a local nonprofit organization like an animal shelter, for example. What I would do is go over to an animal shelter and go shoot some videos of some of the dogs that are up for adoption and take those dogs and post them on my social media platform. The beautiful thing about this is it gets me more social media content. It allows me to get some exposure on their page so long as they're okay with it. And it gives their dogs more exposure, or cats or turtles or pigs or whatever they may potentially have up for adoption that day. And it really, the exposure is the big thing. The other thing that I love to propose is this amazing concept called a marketing minute. So, a marketing minute is a beautiful concept because let's say, for example, I walk up to, I don't know, I'll go with Raquel because your camera's turned on. So I walk up to Raquel, and Raquel has a coffee shop in Scottsdale. Maybe she actually does. I don't know. I can walk up to her and say, "Hey, Raquel, I've got an idea that I'm going to propose to you. So I'm going to give you a full minute of time on my business page, my social media page, to say whatever you want to say about your business. The only thing that I'm going to ask you for in return is that you give me the exact same thing. So I give you a minute of time on my page, but I want you to give me a minute of time on your page. So a beautiful thing about that is, yes, both of you just got more content for your pages, so more stuff for you to post, but both of you just got access to a whole new audience that neither of you would have had access to either otherwise. So another thing that Raquel could do is potentially create something like a discount code to give to my clients and say, hey, you show up to my coffee shop and you mentioned that you saw this video. I'll give you 10% off of your latte or this bagel or whatever the case may be. Now, next thing up would be personal content. I know I say some personal content, but these days, this day and age, we need to get to mostly personal content. So lots and lots of personal content needs to go up on our pages, stuff about our hobbies, the things that we do in our spare time, various things like that. And of course, market updates. We can do live streams, live videos on those things all day long. There is a lot of potential behind that. You're probably wondering right about now, when should you be posting on social media platforms? And good news for you guys is I have exactly that hot and ready for you. So this first graphic is just the social media platforms in general, like best times to post on social media, like across the entire board. But then we'll break it down into the individual platforms. Best thing to do is probably just grab pictures of this because there's not really an easy way to write this down super, super fast. So I'll give you all a second.
While we wait, can I ask you something?
I might have an answer. What's up?
So I actually just did a quick little short video for Greek restaurant or a Mediterranean restaurant that my husband and I go a lot. And so I asked her, the owner happened to be there, and we've seen her and chatted with her, but so we recognize each other now. And so I saw her and I asked her, and she was fine with it. So you just gave me a great idea. The next, because I go there often, so next time I'm sure we'll chat about the video, and then I'll ask her about the discount. That might work for her. Yeah. So thanks
Yeah,
for that. That's a great
I've
idea.
I've only ever run into one agent that ever has done the marketing minute stuff. I've
Yeah,
pitched
no,
this
I did.
idea so many times and nobody does it.
No, I did it, and she got about 430 views because I have a small channel. So, but she loved the video, and I was like, share it with everyone, because that was my thing, to just kind of advance my my conversation with her for the future, and so that she knows what I'm doing and stuff. And so now this gives me an idea of, like, if she brings it up, and or next time I'll bring it up, and then if she liked the video and wants me to do more, then I can definitely do it and then ask her if she wants that. And so there's interaction back and forth with her and the clients too
There
for
you
that
go.
discount.
Um,
So thanks for that.
yeah, absolutely. Tanya, real quick to answer your question, would it be too much to post daily? Are you talking about videos or stuff like that? Um, Posting once per week, nowhere near enough. You need to be posting at least once per day, Monday through Friday. Don't do social media posts on Saturdays or Sundays unless you're out at open houses. It will actually start to affect your page's performance if you're posting every single day of the week. So Monday through Friday, do social media posts, take Saturday and Sunday off unless you're out and about and need to share something on your story or something like that. But Monday through Friday, every single week. So don't be posting just one time a week. That's not going to do jack diddly squat for your page. Nothing whatsoever. So I don't say that to be rough or anything. I'm just saying that from my personal experience. Your page's performance is going to struggle if you don't post multiple days a week. All right, so this is social media platforms in general. And Kathy, I will see if I can help you out with resharing stuff on Facebook. So, speaking of Facebook, here is the schedule for Facebook in and of itself. We just got through social media platforms as a whole. Feel free to grab pictures for this if you want to. Felicia, to answer your question, and Felicia says, in addition to one post per day, would you do more than one story a day? So, stories, do them as often as you want to or as little as you want to. For me personally, I don't dabble in stories all too often. I don't do them very much, but you can definitely do them as much or as little as you want to do them. All right, so coming up with this guy, next up is Instagram. So if you're heavy on Instagram, this would be the slide for you. And when I do the Instagram Reels class, which we can probably do another time, I do have a chart that shows specifically times to post Instagram Reels. And apparently, the best time to post an Instagram Reel is on Monday between 3 and 6 in the morning. Now, I know my nickname is Jake from State Farm, and I am actually wearing khakis today, but I'm still not getting up at 3 in the morning to post a reel on Instagram. Fortunately for that, there are platforms that I can use to pre schedule a reel as well as all my social media content for my pages. If you're focusing just on Facebook and Instagram, the Meta Business Suite works really good and doesn't cost you anything. However, if you want to work with all of the social media platforms, there are options like Hootsuite or Later. Both of them work very, very well for pre scheduling content. All right, so that's Instagram. Next up is Pinterest. Pinterest, kind of not really a surprise to see, but the best days and times to post on Pinterest are weekdays during times when kids are at school. The vast majority of the people that are browsing Pinterest are moms with kids that are looking for crafts and stuff to do. That's just what Pinterest is. So it's no surprise to see that the busiest time on Pinterest is either when the kids are at school or after 5, 6, 7 o'clock when the kids have started to go to bed. So that's what that looks like. And talking about X or Twitter, very interesting splotch right in the middle. I had a student of mine earlier this week kind of notice a very interesting thing about this. Whenever I throw these little time frame things up, you notice the mornings aren't very busy with people scrolling through social media, at least on the weekdays, until you get to about 9:30 or 10 o'clock, and that's when all the social media platforms start to take off. Well, that's when everybody's at work and they're finally starting to go and take their bathroom breaks. That's why social media platforms start to tick up right around 10 or 9:30 or 10 o'clock in the morning. However, you will notice kind of a continuous trend across these platforms. You would think Saturday and Sunday, the days when everybody has time to do nothing but scroll social media, would be the best time to post on social media. It's not. It's the worst time to be posting on social media, which seems kind of crazy if you ask me, but it is true. So, continuing on from there, let's take a look at some of the types of videos that you as a real estate professional can create. So lots and lots of different options and stuff that you can do. So you've got personal family videos, new videos, and converted ones. So new videos are beautiful because they're videos that you're creating right now, but you also have the option to do a converted video. And converted videos are more like older videos that you would have recorded on a VHS tape or a DVD or something like that, that you're now uploading to YouTube or storing somewhere on your computer, basically turning it into a digital format. We did touch base on listings, open houses, just solds, and things like that. So we'll scoot past that. However, as we have come to find out in the past year or so, houses no longer sell themselves. They don't fly off the shelves like they used to. We now have to sell the house and we have to sell the lifestyle that comes along with it. So, neighborhood highlights is kind of what I'm getting at. Local attractions. What can we do around the house? How far do I have to go to get to the nearest store? Where is the nearest park? Where's the nearest restaurant? That's all a whole bunch of questions that start going through people's heads whenever it comes to a house that they're looking to buy. Next thing up would be a market update with a listicle on it. So, a listicle is a top 10 or top 5 style video or top whatever. So, let's say, for example, in this case, you do a market update on the top 5 neighborhoods in Phoenix to see the biggest return on investment currently. That's one example that you can use. Next up, home buying and selling tips, how to pre qualify for a mortgage, how to build your credit, how to get a home inspection, what to expect from a home inspection, how to read a pre qual form, pull your loan officer aside for that. Sure, many people within Rock Title are happy to help you guys shoot some social media content, especially for title related stuff. You can definitely get your business partners out for shooting some of those videos. Not only the home buying and selling tips, but also just general Q&As. I've pulled home inspectors, title reps, loan officers, all kinds of people aside and just shot like 5 minutes worth of content with them, 5 different videos at 1 minute a piece. And then you just break this down into different Instagram content, stuff like that, and you just have a conversation, ask them some questions, get some answers, and things like that. And there you go. That's how you really get some content going. And of course, they will always do that stuff because it's extra exposure for them, but it also helps you generate more business, which hopefully in turn you would turn around and kick back to them, of course. Client testimonials. Very few people, as I came to find out, are actually pushing to get any type of testimonial from their clients, written or video. I personally suggest that you grab all of your clients every time you get done working a transaction with somebody, pull them aside and ask them if they'd be willing to shoot some videos with you. Just asking them basic questions about how they thought the transaction went over, what they thought you could improve on, what some of their favorite things were about working with you, and all that stuff, unless the transaction went sour. In that case, I would very much suggest that you don't do a video with them, but that's just me and my personal opinions. If you have somebody that hates your guts as a real estate professional, probably not your best idea to be doing that. There's so many different options like real estate investments, how-to guides, and client comments on properties shown. So client comment videos. The idea behind these is, let's say you're out showing a whole bunch of properties with your clients today. What you're going to do is you're going to pull out your phone and you're going to record them as they're walking through each house that they go through, right? So you're going to say, "Hey, I'm going to follow you throughout the house and I'm going to capture all the different details about the home, including stuff like the paint, the flooring, light fixtures, kitchen, things like that. But the big thing I'm looking to capture is your genuine reaction to the property as you're seeing it." So what you're doing is you're helping them to remember how they really truly reacted to the property that they're seeing. Nobody does that, but it's something that is super helpful that you can do as you're walking through a home, especially if we're in a market like we are today where we're walking through 5, 10, 15, 20 different properties before they finally decide to submit an offer on one individual property. The other thing that you can do that's not media related as an alternative is you can use a feedback sheet of sorts. You can get templates from various different places. I'm sure Rock Title has one available. Breakthrough Broker is a good resource for it too. That you can give them a clipboard and say, hey, as you're walking through the house, just fill this out and let me know your thoughts and opinions on it, and use this sheet to keep track of your thoughts and opinions. Just throwing out some other ideas for marketing strategies. I'm not going to blaze through this, but feel free to grab a picture or take notes if you want to real quick. And I will continue moving on to the next. Give everybody about a second to get through that. Okay. Going to bring a browser window over here real quick. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys something real quick. So there's this website called Answer the Public. So answerthepublic.com. If you need ideas on what to do for Instagram content, this is a winning strategy. So what we're going to do is we're going to come down here and we're going to search up Phoenix Real Estate. So what it's going to do, of course, you got to create an account in order to see all the answers. But what it's going to do is it's going to pull up a whole bunch of different questions in relation to these different topics. So will the Phoenix real estate market crash? How is the Phoenix real estate market? Different things like that. All this stuff is stuff that is searching Google or whatever other search engine platform you prefer using. And it's going to bring up like 5 or 10 different questions for each topic. Now, what you do is you grab these different questions that it brings up and you take those questions over to ChatGPT and say, I need you to create a 1 minute or just a Instagram reel script in general. So you, around this one question, and give it the attitude that it needs, like tell it to be funny or tell it to be serious or tell it to be sad or dramatic, whatever the case may be, and then modify that script however you need it to be modified. That's my recommendation for what you should do with this type of stuff. Continuing on with this, you can also utilize Jasper, Jasper AI for creating your scripts for Instagram Reels too. May potentially do a better job because that's exactly what it's built for, but ChatGPT works exactly fine. So this is a very easy way to get some free content if need be. The other side of that, there is this website that I love utilizing called Agent Crate. And just to buzz through this thing real quick, I'll show you all the stuff that these guys have got. They've got pretty much everything that you need social media wise. The only downside is this stuff is not branded to you unless you take some of this stuff and edit it in Canva. A lot of this stuff, well, let me see. A lot of this stuff you can use on your social media. They've got an entire Reels hub. They've got the biggest asset for me is this monthly calendar thing. So every single month, they've got an entire month pre-planned with all this different social media content. And for me personally, I suggest utilizing this thing as a means of getting a baseline of your social media content. So this shouldn't be all of it, but it should be at least a baseline for you and your social media content. So you at least have something, but then post videos and stuff on top of that. The other thing that you can do is there is a whole bunch of stuff that the NAR offers you, like their TWWR campaign that you can get social media assets out of. Or alternatively, there is another app within the NAR called Photify that you can get your social media stuff out of that works just as well. So the cool thing about this stuff is that this thing is branded to you and to your business. Okay, so showing you just a few other things as we kind of get to the point where we're starting to wrap up. There's a couple websites I'm going to show off real quick. The first website is this website called igfonts.io. I'll put that in the chat real quick. igfonts.io. So I'm sure many of you have probably seen like all the different social media fonts and stuff that people are using on Instagram and Facebook. This is one of the many websites that will let you get those custom fonts. So I'm going to come over here and punch in this thing. I don't know, let's say open house this Saturday. Okay. And then What it does is it takes that and translates it to all these different fonts that I can come over here and grab. Let's say I scroll down, find one that I like, grab the most random font that I can find right here. All I've got to do, just like any other text anywhere, is highlight over it, copy it, and I can paste it directly into Facebook, paste it into Instagram, paste it into wherever, and it will paste exactly as you see it inside of the IG Fonts website. So that's how IG Fonts works. There's one other website, if I can get this thing to highlight everything, called best-hashtags.com. So if you're wondering where to go to get your hashtags for your social media post, this is a good resource for that. So let's say same thing. I come over here and search up hashtags for an open house. What this thing is going to do is it's going to come back with the 60 most popular hashtags in relation to open houses. So you can use up to 30 hashtags in a social media post. However, the optimal amount of hashtags for a social media post as it currently stands is 15. Use 15 hashtags for a social media post. That is the most optimal as it currently stands. Now, I did have a question from Kathy earlier about sharing some posts on social media pages or on your Facebook page. Let me see. I'll come over here to my business page just so you can see. It's literally just like sharing any other social media post off of literally any other page. You can come over here, find a post that you can share. You just click the share button and click on share to feed, and that's how you would reshare a post from your business page to your personal page. At least that's a grand gist of how that would work. So that is the grand summary of that. I will bounce back over here, throw out my final thought of the day, my usual final thought of the day. Technology will not replace realtors. However, the realtors that are using technology will replace the realtors without technology. And with that being said, opening us up for any questions, comments, concerns, or anything like that that we may have, I would love to hear them.
I just have a question back to the beginning of our Facebook posting. So if
Yep,
we
Raquel.
are walking a video, a listing, and and we're doing a video, do we need permission from the agent to take video and pictures or no?
Okay, so what that comes down to, generally speaking, is the seller of the property and whether or not they're okay with other people walking through their home taking video and picture. Chances are, in today's market, it's probably not going to be a huge issue with the vast majority of sellers. But usually, what you can do at the very least is send in a request to show the property. And when you send in that request on online showings or calling up the agent, whatever, just send them a message or have a conversation with them over the phone and let them know what your intentions are on the property. Usually, the easiest thing that you can do to get access to properties that are more likely okay with being recorded is when you look for properties to do video tours on, look for ones with a vacant occupancy status. So, ones that don't currently have anybody living in them, because chances are, number one, just like for open houses, it's probably going to be easier to get access to those homes to go and shoot videos in. But you also don't have to necessarily worry as much about invading somebody's privacy or a seller being worried about somebody seeing the possessions inside of their home. So, yes, definitely communicate with them just to make sure that it's okay. But the short and sweet of it is, it's like you're out showing a property just like as if you were showing it to one of your clients. You just don't have an actual buyer that you have procured yet. So you're trying to get more exposure for yourself as well as for their listing. But the vast majority of listing agents and sellers, especially in this market, I don't really foresee much of an issue going on with that kind of stuff.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Absolutely. Let me see. Jacqueline, however you pronounce your name, I think it's Jacqueline. Sometimes a Facebook post from our ROG Facebook group, there's no share button. So to post it somewhere else, I have to copy a link and post that link in my Facebook. Um, your question is, why are some posts able to be shared and why are some of them not able to be shared? What that comes down to is the privacy settings that the original post creator has on their page. So whether or not they allow their post to be shared outside of a group or even off of an actual page, that's what's going to make a difference as to whether or not something can be shared or reshared onto a different page or onto a different platform entirely. That's what that looks like. So with
So
that,
with that,
oh,
oh,
is there a
is there a
question?
question?
Yeah, I had a question about how do I get my picture and my Realty One logo on a post or a picture that I'm posting? Would it be from a business page or is there a way to just put that on there? Because I know you legally have to have your brokerage name on there if you're posting anything real estate related.
Right, yes. So the two easiest things that you can do really is to either take the image and run it through Canva or run it through Photoshop, something that you can use to layer one image on top of the other. I'm sure there's many other tools available on the internet, but Canva is pretty much the easiest one to do that with. Um, just run them through there, stick the logo on top of it, and then take it and post it on social media. Or what I do is I've got two different images that I post up, especially when I'm doing stuff with Agent Crate. So I'll take, well, let me see if I can get over to my Instagram real quick, or even Facebook works. So you see, I've got these two images that go up side by side. So I've got whatever image that comes from Agent Crate, and to save myself the time and effort of having to go through and run it through Canva or whatever the case may be, to put a logo on it, I just have this other image that goes up alongside of it. Okay, so that's what that looks like. So that does keeps me in compliance with where I need to be.
So if we're posting on our, let's say our Facebook page, just one of those little carousel things without our information, do we still need to add a little side one since our information's all over our page? Like in our
Yes, technically speaking, I know it sounds a little bit crazy, but yes, you do need to have at least some other graphic or something somewhere in your description just showcasing what brokerage you're a part of. Technically speaking, and it's a hard technically, all that people have to do is click on your business page and be able to see what brokerage you're a part of. But realistically speaking, your brokerage logo needs to be somewhere on your marketing materials that you're posting up.
So maybe would a hashtag with the name of the broker suffice maybe? Or is the
Not
logo
if
fine?
it's buried in your hashtags. I'm
Okay.
sure it would work, but I'd caution you against that because it's not easily observable if it's buried in a pile of hashtags at the very bottom of your post. If you're going to do it in a hashtag format, do it separately from the other hashtags somewhere towards the middle or towards the top at the very least. Just put it somewhere in there that's readily and easily observable,
Okay.
somewhere clear and prominent. Hopefully that answered that question.
Yeah.
If you're posting from your business page to your personal page, your work information should be there. So, Trisha, I think what you're saying is, or at least my point behind that, is you have a business page to keep you in compliance with ADRE regulations and stuff. Yes, absolutely. But you can reshare stuff from your business page to your personal page all day long. And realistically, you shouldn't run into an issue with that. Um, really all you're doing is taking a post and resharing it. People can see the original caption, they can see the original post, they can see the page that originally posted it. It's just like you're taking a post from Rock Title or you're taking a post from your loan officer or literally anybody and resharing it to your page. As long as you're not originally posting it on your personal page, take it and reshare it from your business page. You should be fine. Okay. And all right, is there a best video app that we can use for posting to social media? Are you talking about to create content or for physically posting stuff? So if you're looking for an option to not spend any money for posting stuff, then Instagram is probably your best bet for editing and posting stuff on. Um, can't really do any video editing in YouTube or anything. Let me see here. So let me check something real quick. There are various apps that you can use on your phone to edit videos, like InShot, for example, is a good app for that. They've got a free version and a paid version of it, and there's other various options available, but none of them really exist to post your content. It's just the social media platforms in and of themselves that would exist to post your content. All right, so throwing up my contact information here once again. Thank you everybody for jumping in with us once again today, and thank you for Rock Title for this amazing opportunity to jump in and do this class with y'all. I hope this class was super beneficial for everybody, and thank you for throwing all the questions out. If you have any additional questions, feel free to give me a buzz, shoot me an email, whatever the case may be. I'm definitely here to help. And if you want this class and many more options in CE format, go check us out at tech4re.com. We've got many, many new classes coming up this summer. So sayonara, guys, and we will see you all in the next one.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you guys all so much for joining this class. The video should be up on YouTube tomorrow if you guys want to rewatch it, okay? And we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.
See you guys.
Thank you so much.